Hi, this is Dr. Gayle, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.
Welcome to the SOB Radio Show, where we have fun, interesting guests, and hot topics. Each week, we offer insights into music, fashion, health, fitness, and humor. Do you have the perfect guest for us to interview? I want to know. Drop me a line on our Facebook page at SpunkyOldBroad1 or reach out to me on our website at SpunkyOldBroad.com. And now, back to the show.
My guest today is Diana Devi, and she says, do you know what a whip is? WHIP. Well, she says it's a woman who is hot, intelligent, and in her prime. Although this is not a term she created, it's how she describes herself. She's an empowerment coach for women 50 and older, and over her 30-year career as a pharmacist, she has counseled thousands of women on health issues, focusing on non-medication solutions. Diana has also a personal passion for staying youthful through informed daily body movement and eating well. But it wasn't until she had her own crisis that she finally found her calling. Her experience with aging was much like that of the client she works with. Diana had a stressful job that was rewarding, but as the years progressed, she started to know her body was changing. And when she was in her 50s, she noticed she was gaining weight, especially around the waist, not sleeping well, felt invisible, and then it came to a crisis point when she could not remember how to spell. She knew she had to do something. After consulting her doctor, she was told she was getting older and she would have to live with it. Well, at first she was frustrated. Then she got mad. She called on her years of experience in healthcare and decided to figure out what she needed to do to feel good. And so through her years of experience, I'm hearing a lot of noise.
Diane, are you moving anything whatsoever? I mean, we're picking up.
No. Let me go to my head to a different headset.
Okay.
And see if this makes any difference, because I literally have even turned off the furnace so that we wouldn't have that blowing noise in the background.
But if you even if you touch papers, it will come across.
Okay, I'm not touching anything at all.
Do you have your new headphones plugged in?
I do.
Okay, it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
So where do you want me to start from, Joe? Do you want me to start?
I would start all over again.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to start not at the very beginning. Do you want me to start?
Back where you were about to start just recently. Okay. All right, I'll count you down. Going in 3, 2, 1.
Diana had a stressful job that was rewarding, but as the years progressed, she started to notice her body was changing. By the time she was in her 50s, she noticed she was gaining weight, especially around the waist, and not sleeping well, and feeling invisible. It came to a crisis point when she could not even remember how to spell. She knew she had to do something, and after consulting her doctor, she was told she was getting older and she would have to live with it. Feeling frustrated at first, then she got mad, and she called on her years of experience in healthcare and decided to figure out what she needed to do to feel good. And through her years of experience in ballet, Pilates, Gyro Tonic, body alignment, and as an Argentine tango instructor, she knew how movement changes the body and the brain. So adding to her expertise, she incorporated her 40 years of experience with meditation and the use of other techniques to calm the body, mind, and spirit. Putting all of those disciplines together, she created a program for women to be able to proudly claim their place in the world and enjoy an ageless life. Her goal is to help every woman achieve whatever their unique vision of WHIP is. And she wants her clients to live the phrase, age is just not a number. It's how you live your life that counts. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
it's interesting. You know, I think all of us in this category, all of us who are listening to this, have gone through many of the things that I described in your intro. And, you know, not all of us have had the experience you've had, both as a pharmacist, which I think is very interesting, Diana, because my dad was a pharmacist and he was president of the New York State of Pharmacy and the association. And so I lived a pharmacist's daughter, because I used to go, when I was a kid, I used to go to his drugstore all the time. And it was a real drugstore back then. I mean, it was in a small town and he was like the family doctor. And I mean, it was fantastic. And I was behind the soda fountain, which I just loved. But, and I was a dancer too, but never an Argentine tango dancer, which I think is fascinating. So do you still do that today?
I do. In fact, in November, I took a trip to Greece to attend an Argentine Tango Festival. And I wanted to see Athens and just kind of couple the day trips going to see the archaeological sites and then dancing tango in the evening. And it was so much fun.
I will bet that. I went to Athens and I went to Greece this summer, and but it was hot. It was like over 98 degrees every day. So going to the sites was very, very difficult. But I went and I did it, but it was very interesting. But isn't it interesting that they're having the Argentine tango competition in Greece? I think that's adorable.
Yeah,
so
it's fun.
I think we have an idea now of how you got to where you are now. And you've explained that a whip is a woman who is hot, intelligent, and in her prime. But how does that feel to you? I mean, how do you feel yourself as a whip?
So for me, it is about feeling more empowered. And when I say empowered, it means that I'm not afraid to try something new, or I shouldn't say I'm not afraid, but I don't let that stop me. So I just recently decided I needed another type of expression of physical movement because you need to vary what your body does. So I, about a month ago, started up doing Kung Fu, which is a whole different kind of discipline. But if I had listened to what some of the other people that I know were saying, it's, oh my God, aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid you're going to get hurt? All of those kinds of things. And it's like, well, I mean, I could step out on the ice when I'm walking outside of my house. I live in Minnesota, and fall on the ice. If I live in fear all the time, then I'm never going to do anything. I can be rational and understand what the risks are, but I'm not going to let doing something new or different stop me. And I think it's true for everyone. It might be that you're afraid of, I'm not going to be able to learn a new language, or I'm not going to be able to do something else. You don't know till you try it. And you may not be expert level at it, but doing those new things is exciting. It stimulates the brain. It enlivens your body and makes you feel alive. So for me, I try to do new things. I try to look at, even in myself, if I have ageism or thinking about I'm too old to do that. It's like, is that a rational, fear? Is that a rational thing that I'm saying to myself? Because it comes through in so many different areas in society today. So for me, being a whip is, if I decide that I want to do something, I try it out.
Well, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I get what you're saying because I'm one of these workout people, and in fact, I was one of the finalists, and they're doing a story on me, as a matter of fact, for Silver Sneakers. And I am one of these, yes, I've got to work out every day kind of person. There was one thing in your bio that I read, which I am not familiar with, and that's Gyro Tonic. What is that?
Gyro Tonic is, and that I actually used as part of recuperation. I developed frozen shoulder about 10 years ago, and I used that as recuperation and absolutely fell in love with it. Some people refer to it as Pilates on steroids, but which I think is absolutely hilarious. There's a machine that you use that's similar. It has more different levers and those kinds of things than a Gyro Tonic machine or than a Pilates machine. But it uses a lot of spiraling motion in the body, which is a very natural type of motion. But they have a philosophy that is you have flexibility through stability. And so you only rotate or pivot or turn your body as much as you can while you're stable. So you're really building all those stabilizing muscles in your core, in your legs, in your spine that allows you to do other things. And I found that it made all of the difference in the world. And I do it as a private practice, although I went through the certification and can teach if I want, but at some point there's only so many things that one can do during the day, right?
Well, that's true. But it sounds fascinating. I'm going to have to investigate that. So, I can certainly see that your background has impacted everything that you do. And even it has impacted how you solve certain things, how you think, how you process. But do you think there is an age that is too late to start any of these things?
I don't. And I'll give you a couple of examples, is that there was a gentleman, 92 years old, from London, who started taking tango lessons and ended up qualifying to go to the national championships in Argentina.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Isn't that great?
I love it. And had he ever danced before? I mean, or was this something he wanted to attack, It was something that he wanted to do. If I remember correctly, he had some dance experience, but not a lot, and, there's a ballerina who teaches, and she's in her 80s. And I've seen videos of her as she moves while she's teaching and instructing the students. And she's fabulous. She's been doing that all of her life and never gave it up. But I know women in their 80s who have started yoga, and they are doing absolutely fabulous. So if people in their 80s and 90s can start activities and build strength and feel better about themselves and actually physically change the way that they look when they sit and they walk, it's never too late. So do you think that this is a mindset, Diana? Or, I mean, there are certainly people in their 80s and 90s who are not like that. I remember going to, they weren't even assisted living homes. They were independent living facilities. And they had asked me to come and do a series of lectures. And this was in, I did it in Florida, I did it in California. And I found that probably half of the people were really sharp and were interested in what I had to say, and the other half were sleeping. And so I just didn't think it was my market, and I didn't want to really start continuing to do that. But do you think it is a mindset, or because there are so many people who get to be 80 and even 90 who say, oh gosh, are you kidding me? I'm just going to sit here and watch TV. What is it that makes a particular person get up and say, I'm going to try yoga, or I'm going to become a tango dancer? What do you think it is?
I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. I think it is willingness to look at its mindset. Absolutely. So, and it can come up in a couple of different ways. It can be, gee, I am, 70 years old and I don't think I should be doing this, and so therefore I'm not going to, or I don't have the energy to do this today, I'm just going to sit here. And if you continue that pattern of not doing, then, as a friend of mine who I met when I was in graduate school studying kinesiology would say, you stop moving and you die. And it's not that rapid a progression, but what happens is you slow down in your movement, you decrease your social circle, and you become more introverted, and then, you decline from there. So thinking about or challenging any of those thoughts that the individual has about, I can't do this because I'm too old, really makes a huge difference. And you need to move, because movement impacts the way your brain works.
Yeah, in fact, I was listening to an interview it's funny you mentioned this because I was listening to an interview that I did for someone else. They interviewed me and they said to me, what do you think is the biggest criteria to prevent aging? And although it is using your mind as well, I said movement. I said, you've got to move every single day. If you don't move every single day, and even people who are incapacitated or, in wheelchairs, they can move parts of their body. And I remember doing a segment on TV where I showed how you exercise in a chair, and it can be done. So there's really not an excuse if people are not moving. But you also collaborated to write an Amazon #1 bestseller. What was it about? What did you write? Tell us a little bit about that.
So there was a group of 15 of us from across the world that talked a little bit about our story and then also some of the tips or things that we share with our clients. And for me, I work a lot with people that have really busy schedules. And if I tell them, you need to go work out half an hour, 5 days a week, it's not going to work for them to get it in their schedule because they're not at that point in their lives where they understand the importance of movement. So I broke it down and talked about health. So there's 6 different ones. So hydration, eating, attitude, let's move your body, train your body to sleep, and healthy thoughts and actions. And within each of those, I break down little 5-minute segments that people can do in order to get on the path to feeling better, because once you're healthier, then you can think more about the long-term aspect of what it is that you want to do. What are the things that you've thought about all of your life and now you have no children in the house? You have an opportunity to go do some of those things because you can focus on you. And it starts very simple. For example, one is, I call it Shake Your Booty Dancing. And it's under the part where I talk about Let's Move. You create a playlist of songs that you just like to move around to. You put 1 or 2 of them on in the morning, you hop around, you do whatever it is, and then you go on about your day.
Wow. I love that. Shake your booty. I really love that. Well, it's what's the name of the book? Tell us what the name of the book is.
The name of the book is New Rules of Health, 15 Amazing Coaches from Around the World Share Their Secrets. And it's actually had a name change. And so I'm just going in to make sure because there was some, sorry about that. I had the old name in my.
Well, but if they put your name in, they'll be able to find it, right?
Well, it's actually under the woman who pulled all of us together. So it's the New Rules of Health, 15 game-changing coaches reveal their secrets to help you achieve ultimate health and wellness. It's a Kindle book. It's 99 cents. You don't have to have Kindle in order to get it. And all the proceeds from the book go to a charity called Blue Door that deals with people who are having mental health challenges.
Wow.
And so they provide services. So, from that perspective, I mean, it's that also excites me that all of the proceeds go to a charity.
Well, not only that, isn't it great that it's 99 cents? No one has an excuse not to get it or to read it. So
exactly. And it's on like I said, all you have to have is a computer or a phone, or you can even go to the library and look at it and read it if you wish. So, yeah.
So why did you decide to write this?
I decided to write it for a couple of reasons. One is people have the ability to impact their health dramatically without doing a lot of really expensive things. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need to, if you work hard, or not even necessarily hard, but take a few steps toward being healthier, you don't need to take all of the medications. I see that on a daily basis, that people have diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, joints replaced, all of those kinds of things. And rather than taking efforts or energy toward doing something, would prefer to take a pill. And I think part of it is because they're at such a point in their lives that they feel hopeless. This book is designed to say, look, there are things that you can do that don't cost anything. You can start this now. It's an easy way to enter into it. You don't have to upset your life totally. I have recommendations with food that are easy. Phased implementation works really well and is something that you can stick with rather than having a resolution, a New Year's resolution that you're going to dramatically change your life. And 5 days into it, you figure out, I can't support it. I can't do it.
Even and if they're 65 or older and they're lucky enough to be in an area that takes silver sneakers, they can go to a gym for free, and that's very important because I was one of the silver sneakers finalists out of 200 people, I must say.
Congratulations!
Thank you for the fitness award winner, and I just I can tell you that the silver sneakers classes at the gyms that I go to, because I belong to 3 different gyms because I live in 3 different places, they have a good attendance, and people are social and they are fun and they laugh and they have a good time. So those of you out there listening who are not aware that your insurance will pay for this. Most insurances will pay for this, and the gyms that accept it, I mean, it's fantastic. So it's just something that you should be aware of. But yeah,
the other thing is that you touched on a little bit is the social network. And that is absolutely critical because we know if you have a network of people that are like-minded in physical activity or interests, that we're more likely to stick with it. So that's another awesome thing about those types of programs is you build that camaraderie and you say, hey, I'm going to go tomorrow. Are you coming? And you may not have thought you were going to, but if somebody says, I'm going to be there, come with me, you're more likely to go.
And I think that that's very true. And I know that at the gyms I go to, of course, I don't because I'm on a schedule. So I go in, I work out, and I leave. But I see that there are women that go out to coffee later. They as long as they're not eating, Danishes and so forth along with the coffee. But, they go out, they have tea together, coffee together. I think it's great. And even in some cases, they serve as transportation for each other, too, because some of them may not drive and some do drive. And it's just a real great camaraderie that I think is important. And I agree with you. And many gyms, too, not all, but many gyms have networking events for seniors. So you can get to meet other people. I know one gym I go to was having a seniors mixer, and I was looking forward to going to it, but it was the week that I wasn't going to be there in town, so I couldn't go. But there are just lots of things that go on at the gym that you could probably take advantage of. So that's something else. So let's continue on this because we've just got a couple of minutes left in this particular segment. But I'm just wondering, Diana, when did you start doing all of these physical activities, or were they all your entire life that you did this?
No, I was very interested in dance and those kinds of things and was part of the dance team when I was in high school. And then as I became a parent, my time for those kinds of activities diminished significantly. And I would say probably I did try to do some aerobics and some other kinds of things, but it was a lot hit and miss because I also had a job where I traveled. But it was when I started to notice how I was feeling being more tired and not having energy, I started really understanding the importance of physical movement and exercise. I knew it to a certain extent because I knew when I had a really tough day that I'd spent lots of hours with something that if I moved physically, it would be better. But it really came home when I was like in my early 50s and said, this has got to change. I have to move.
Well, you were smart enough to recognize that, which is really important because so many people, they don't. they recognize it, but they don't do anything about it. That's the big difference. And so, yeah, I think that's really, really important. So, I have to say, but I can just, there's something when you were talking about the Argentine tango, there's something about that that's so beautiful and sexy and challenging and just fascinating. And I want to ask you before we leave, because we've just got about a minute left, how many people competed in this competition in Greece?
Well, the event was more of a kind of a casual kind of thing. So, in some areas that we do competitions, in some areas what we do is called a marathon. And so this was a marathon. There was a couple of hundred people, and people from all over in Europe. There were actually three other people from the United States that were there, but it was really interesting because it kind of goes beyond boundaries or borders and beyond, I dance with people that we couldn't even speak the same language, but you still have that connection and that feeling and that ability to move together that is just fantastic.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said it's a marathon. I can see that now. I'm thinking of all the marathons that they used to have where you danced until you dropped, and the last on the floor, they were the winners, So, well, they're still doing that even in the tango, which is just amazing. So, wow. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this segment with Diana Devi. And Diana is someone who believes that she's a whip, hot, intelligent, and in her prime. Her website is anagelesslife.com. So stick with us, and we'll be back with Diana in just a few minutes.